Good morning. This is Marquise Martin Hayes, and it's time for Thriving Thursdays. Just like every Thursday, you can tune in right here, Facebook, YouTube, IGTV, and get the goodness you've been looking for to not only help pull you up by your bootstraps, but much more than that. We want to take you from just existing to truly living and expanding and thriving in your life. Today's show is proudly sponsored by Willis Consulting. Willis Consulting and Counseling supports the message of Thriving Thursdays and is a Chicago-based counseling practice that offers services to partners, individuals, and families. They offer services via virtual appointments and in person in Chicago and Naperville. Everyday folks sometimes need a tune-up on their mental wellness, and that's exactly what you get at WCC. You can learn more about them at their website, www.williscc.com, which is www.williscc.com, or text them directly from Facebook Messenger. Willis Consulting. That's where you go when Thriving Thursdays just isn't enough and you need help getting over the hump. Also, another sponsor, Rodan and Fields. I'm my own sponsor. Yes, I'm a skincare consultant as well, and I love taking care of the skin and keeping it young because at 47, I got to keep it tight and right. No, I'm an actor and model, and so it makes a difference that my first impression always delivers because I learned something. You have 5 seconds, only 5, to make a first impression, and they make 11 judgments in that window without you even trying. They don't give you a chance, and so it's important that your skin glows, glistens, and shines, and that's why I take time to take care of mine. All right, enough of all that good stuff there. Today, I have a special guest, Regina Dillard. She is not only a raw vegan chef, a yogi, and so many other things, the founder of Inner Sanctum Wellness, and also a mother, and also a coach, and also has her own network where she empowers people to grow and expand, to be healthy so that they get the opportunity to live an expansive life. She's also an author. What else can I say about her? I won't. I'll let her speak for herself. Welcome to the show, Regina. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. What a wonderful introduction.
Well, you're amazing.
I'm honored.
I'm just showing up and sharing who you already are. I'm not adding anything to it.
Well, thank you. And thank you for inviting me to the show. I'm honored to be here.
Good. It's my
I'm honored
pleasure.
to be here with you.
You know, it's so funny. We cross in so many circles and we've been able to connect so many times online as well. And every time we connect, it's just like gel. It just meshes very easily and very smoothly. And so I look forward to our exploration today.
It's been about 11 years since we first
I think
crossed
that's
paths.
about right.
Yes.
What was the first place we met?
Through you were a panelist on a business development workshop that was sponsored and hosted by Victoria Knox.
Yes,
Remember?
yes. Knox. That's right. She's such an amazing trailblazer and organizer. I remember Colin and so many other people at that same time. Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, when did we meet and how, etc.
Yes.
And since then, I've just watched you do so many really amazing, groundbreaking things on your own. Meaning, like you started Inner Sanctum Wellness, and then you wrote your book. But you've been giving. You've just been giving all these years. And so I gave a brief introduction of you. I'd like for you to now share, not from your words. I love doing this on the show. Not from your words, what you think about you. I'm just a child of God, and I don't. No. I don't want to hear that. I ain't looking for that. Because here's the deal: people want to know what makes you so special. Marquise has you on the show. He always brings somebody he likes. But what do other people say about you? What do other people glean from you? What do other people come back and say, Regina, because of you, XYZ?
Well, I think if I had to summarize who I am and what others think about me, they come away with something that I may have taught them, shared with them, empowered them through words or just through my energy, through my gifts. But out of everything that you mentioned that I do, or my skill set, my craft, my gift, I am a teacher at heart. I am a teacher at heart, and I like to empower people through because everything I do is a learning process and
Okay.
is an opportunity to teach, and it's an invitation for others to learn.
Very good.
I don't like to force anything that I think I know on others, but it's just an invitation to share
Yeah.
and an invitation for them to learn and see if there's anything of value, whether it's through my cooking classes, whether it's through my yoga classes or teaching about the chakra centers, whatever it is,
Mhm.
I want to make sure that they walk away with valuable information that they can implement right away.
That's good. Where did that come from? The desire to teach and connect with people like that.
I have no idea. It's funny. Well, that's not true. I do have an idea. When I was growing up, so I grew up in the church,
Okay.
and was one of those kids that was at church every Sunday and several days in between. With my
I
Yes, so my
understand.
mom was an evangelist, and my
Oh,
mom,
got it.
yeah, so a little shy of being a PK, but but
Listen, it's
she was
almost worse than being a
evangelist.
PK.
Yeah, she was a licensed evangelist, and my mom used to. I remember when I was a kid, she would go to this a publishing house near where I grew up called Good News Publishing, and she'd pick up these little things called tracts.
Yep.
My
Yep.
mom would hand them out everywhere she went, the grocery store, the dry cleaners, the laundromat, wherever. She wanted to share the good news. And
Yeah.
for me, it was a little embarrassing because, I mean, she
Yeah.
would walk up to total strangers
Yeah.
and just share the good news.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, God, I would never want to do that.
I
I
know.
never want to be like that.
No,
It's so
I know.
embarrassing. And then here I am years later
Okay.
sharing the good news of
Okay.
health and wellness
That's good.
and how you can live your best life
Good.
through different healing and modalities and
Good.
just how to eat well and how to just live your best life. I'm essentially doing the same thing, but it's just in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So
is. And I would even dare say, from a perspective of impact and access, an even more powerful way, not more powerful than faith. But what I mean by that is, whenever I get into this conversation with believers around wellness, and I think about the earlier part of the year where people are fasting and they feel closer to God and deity,
mhm,
or I think about the Hebrew boys and how they ate and they felt closer, they were more aware, more alert. It's all about wellness. It's all about having clarity throughout the body to be open and fully present in our lives. And so I think that what you're doing is tremendously powerful, because regardless of their faith, regardless of their walk of life, if they're more alkaline, if they're more healthy, they show up more whole and in tune.
absolutely.
So I love it. Anyway, that's just my little piece on it, because it's really
Yes,
phenomenal. It transcends faith and it can help everyone, and hopefully they'll figure that faith out for themselves. But
absolutely.
it's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. So that's cool.
So, yeah, so I'm often allowed, if I can just share that, often
Yeah,
allowed
this is about you.
to connect with my Christian roots,
Yes.
and just draw from that because there's so many things in Christian texts
Yeah.
that speaks to health and wellness and the types of food and where it comes
Yes.
from and how it benefits the
Yes.
body,
Yes.
the purpose of fasting and
Yes.
just different things. And so
Yes.
it's all there. And
Yeah.
I
It's
have an
all there.
opportunity to just tap into that and share it with people because sometimes it's more palatable when you have a connection to that,
Yeah.
to that, and you're able to just people are able to connect with it,
Yep.
and they see it as being more me being more authentic because I have experience,
Yeah.
as growing up
Yeah.
Christian.
Yeah. It's true. And that, I think that's the coolest part about it. It's like, wait a minute. It's not necessarily it is all these things per se, but it's really, how are you taking care of that temple that
Yes.
allows you to be connected, which then
Hmm.
allows you to show up. It's so and I don't know if we'll get down into wellness or not as a primary focus, but when I think about communities that are food deserts or communities that are more impoverished, there tends to be a lack of nutrition available. And or the choices that are available are not necessarily the healthiest, but with the work that we do, we find that there's more acidity in their life. And when there's more acidity in your body, it shows up in your life as well. It's like there's a direct correlation and impact as a result of that. But when there's more alkalinity, more healthier choices, we tend to be more rational. We tend to be more in tune. We tend to be more open. We tend to be more connected in terms of not better people, but just we don't have the anxiety riding through our body. If that makes sense.
Right. Because I've had experience with that anxiety
Go
and
ahead.
depression, and even as a wellness professional, I'll know when there are times when there may be gaps or holes in my nutrition because things start creeping up, and I was like, okay, so I'm seeing this, I'm experiencing this in my body, I'm feeling it in my body. Now, how do I heal that part? Whether it's
Mm,
energetically and whether it's through food, and food has energy anyway,
it
so it's
does.
all energy.
Yeah.
So instead of reaching for this or that, I look at food as medicine. So if my doctor says, okay, you need more vitamin C or you need more vitamin D, I know, okay, just get more sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
always go to a supplement, but
Right.
you go to the source.
Yes.
Go to the source. The sun has you supplied us with all the nutrients we need and the vitamin D, especially for people who are melanated like
Yes.
us.
Yes.
But just in general, you know how you feel when the sun is shining. You're getting that direct source of vitamin D.
Yeah.
Or if we're feeling a little, maybe some anxiety, what are the foods that can support those anxious feelings? The ashwagandha, which is a herb that grows naturally. Yes, I can take that and that will help. But also lifestyle, not
Yeah.
just food, but just lifestyle. The things that I watch or the things that I expose myself to, and whether I'm connecting with nature.
Yeah.
But with food, yes, that is, for me, that is so important because what I put in my body, it shows up on the outside.
Yeah.
Not only how I look, but how I
And you look
feel.
fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
You just
How I
do.
just show up in life, how I show up
Yeah.
in life. And not to say that I have it all together, have all the
Sure.
answers, but I know where to go and what's in my medicine cabinet, the
Yeah.
pharmacy, pharmacy. So
Pharmacy.
I
I like
approach
that.
food as, my pharmacy,
Yes.
because it was created so because it's compatible with my
Yeah.
body. My body knows how to use it,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Absolutely. Question for you. Given, and I want to write pharmacy down, I want to share that, but given your experience with anxiety and depression, and given the times that we've been in, can you share, like, it's easy for us to talk about food and how much it's going to make a difference. Do you have any practical examples where you can talk about how you're able to discover some sense of anxiety or depression and how some things you may have done? Obviously, it's not a cure-all. I understand that we're not medical professionals trying to deliver, but we're talking about things from our own experience that have really shown up and made a difference. And just given the pandemic and all those things, lots of people for outside reasons are experiencing anxiety and depression. Can you speak to how you've been able, maybe in seasons in your life, some things you did that helped make a difference? I know you talked about being in the sun. I know for me that even in the winter in Chicago, as much as I don't like the cold, on a sunny day, it's usually super freezing, but I go out anyway because that sun, it's like, it just refreshes me. But enough about me. An example that you can share, maybe similar, or some things you can do so that somebody can start trying or taking it on or practicing, because I know we all want to be happier, but sometimes we don't know what to do.
and that's challenging because many of us who have experienced anxiety and depression, we don't even know that we are. Some people have been
Explain
diagnosed.
what that means in the sense that we don't know.
We don't know, but when our heart is racing, we have the racing thoughts. We start maybe sweating or just having that dread, or we're really, there's a feeling of despair, no hope for the future. We're future thinking instead of being in the present. Not even knowing that that's existing and that's going on in our mind. It's almost as if it's a dog chasing its tail. You think you've conquered this whole anxiety thing, and then something happens like COVID, and then it just comes right back around, and it causes stress, it causes worry. You sink into the fear, sleeplessness.
Yeah.
I've had all of that. I've experienced all that where I was up at night all night. The same sun I saw going up is the same one I saw coming down and going up again for days. Couldn't sleep
Yeah.
because of anxiety. But those anxieties and that fear is connected to something that's disconnected within the body,
Well,
within the energetic system as well.
yeah.
But oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were
No,
going to ask me a
you just
question.
got me. So I hate to interrupt, but it's so good. Sometimes we don't know that those signals are anxiety, and you begin to speak to that, because I know for some people that are listening right now, they're like, oh, that's why I'm always thinking. That's anxiety. They didn't know.
Yes.
Like you said, we don't even know sometimes, because we just think that's just who we are. Because we've done it for so long, we think it's normal.
Right. We've become collectively disconnected from ourselves. So our
Indeed.
bodies are always giving us signs and signals that there's a disconnect. But because of the messaging that we've been receiving, either through the media or, just various platforms, and even we're socially conditioned to think that that's normal. It is not normal to not sleep. It is not normal to not um, to have a racing mind, or to be
Yeah.
anxious, or to be fearful. Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to the fight or flight response in our body, that's something that was created to protect us.
That's correct. That's correct.
But that's not what I'm talking to. Where there's fear, there's dread, to where your heart is constantly racing, and your that switch
Yeah.
is always on the on position,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's never off. There's no
Yes.
balance there.
Would you
You know,
would you say, and this is me fishing a little bit, would you say that if someone's typically on edge, that's an indicator, like that racing, that fight or flight trigger being on, that there's always just like a sense of just like response of aggressiveness? Is that perhaps what it may look like?
it can look like that, and also I believe that it's connected to, again, our lifestyle, the
Mm,
food we eat,
yeah.
the things that we take in, our environment, just the way we feel about ourselves. But I do
Mm,
believe that's all linked. It's all linked. But here's the thing: even though you're feeling like that and you are experiencing those physical or mental emotions or whatever you're feeling,
okay.
is still connected to something in your body, because
Right.
now with all of that stress is constantly you're constantly stressed,
Yeah.
um, you're constantly in fear, or you're not sleeping. That affects your cortisol levels, it affects your flight or fight response, it affects your adrenals. It's affecting the organs in your body, because you're stressing the organs, because we're
Yeah.
putting added stress on the organs, on the physical body.
Yeah.
And because we can't compartmentalize the body, one affects the other. When one is off, other things are off. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, something is off. So we have to look at ourselves holistically, not just one part, not just throwing a band-aid on it, or just eating a spoonful of sea moss.
Right.
That's Or drinking alkaline water, putting
Like it's gonna
alkaline
fix it.
water into an already acidic body. But it's looking at what am I doing holistically?
Yeah.
And that's what I had to look at.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that this was a process. I thought that there was one thing I could do to just I could swallow a pill,
Yeah.
or do a certain exercise,
Yeah.
or just do one thing, and
Yeah.
magically things will reverse itself. But no, it's a process, it's a lifestyle,
Yeah.
and I had to commit to it.
Okay, so got it. And what stuck out to me is, at least for me, is if you don't know a lot about energy work, you can eat as many kale stalks as you want, but if your energy's off, you're gonna be off. And I was sharing in the Monday Moment this week about how through breathing, a doctor tapped into my energy to get my electrical system functioning like it's supposed to, which then relaxed my musculoskeletal system and allowed me to have more mobility in my body. Given that you also do energy work, is that right? Uh-oh, I think you're frozen. No, come back, come back. All right, she will be back. I know it. The internet is never defeated, as they say, but we'll make it happen. I'm curious about that when she talks about the balance that we need and then the unawareness that a lot of us have as it relates to energy and energy work and how that impacts as a base layer, right? So I know that how you eat affects your energy because we're electrical beings. There's no doubt about that. And there's alkaline and acidic, right? Energy expressions that we can help manage. But if we don't take the time to, Regina will be back, I'm not worried about it. If we don't take the time to also deal with our energy or nurture our spirits, which is our energy source, then what's happening on the outside is nice, but it doesn't make the difference. Here she is. She's back. Welcome back.
And I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's the internet. Don't worry. We're going to keep rolling. So my question to you is, do you do energy work?
I do. I teach an 8-week class, as a matter of fact, on energy.
Good. Because we got to share that. Because what clicked when you were just sharing a minute ago, and I was talking to the audience about it, is we can use as many kale salts as we want. We can drink as much alkaline water as we want. And that's great because those are energy serving foods in terms of being alkaline. But being healthy, working out regularly has nothing to do with your energy. And the energy, what I discovered, I was talking about on the Monday Moment, is what I was sharing with them, is that the hip injury I had where I couldn't put my knees together, a doctor started working on my breathing, which is a direct correlation to our electrical system. And that then opened up my musculoskeletal system to do what it was supposed to do, meaning that energy is really the baseline, or our spirit is the baseline of everything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you got to break down energy, because if you're not my belief is, if you're not in an energy work, then you're sort of like, I'm good. I mean, whatever they're doing, not understanding that it's behind everything we're experiencing.
Absolutely. Yes. So it's what we call prana. So that is the life source of everything that allows us to exist and everything around us to exist. Yes. It's the life force. It's the energy that is always operating in our bodies 24/7, 365. And when we're connected to it, we're first of all, we have a better understanding of who we are as spiritual beings when we're connected to our energy source. But knowing that energy source has a direct effect on our entire being, not just our spiritual selves, but our energetic and our physical selves as well. So when I teach about, go ahead.
So you're saying too fast. No, yeah, right. Because I'm thinking about people, and I'm realizing I'm still learning too. When you say our energy source, what do you mean?
So it's the unseen realm. So it's the energy within us, because we are spiritual beings. But that energy is actually providing life. It's the life force that's within our bodies. So it's always almost like a current that's going through our bodies, constantly in movement, constantly circulating and giving us energy from within. It's almost as if are you familiar with the aura? The word aura, somebody's aura, that's part of their energy system. That's how they show up as spiritual beings, not on the physical level, but as spiritual beings, how they flow, how the electrical system in their body is operating and moving. And you get to experience that even on a physical level. So I'll say, it transfers from energy sometimes to physical, because you can stand next to a person and almost feel their energy.
Yeah.
But that's coming from within their energetic system that that prana, that life force that we all have within us.
So what's different then between the life that causes me to breathe, exist, and when it's gone, I'm considered dead, and the electrical force you're talking about, or are they the same?
They're the same, but one actually, so I would say they're similar. So I would say not the same, but similar. One powers the other. So the prana is actually powering the electrical system. For instance, the electrical system flows through our brain, flows through our body, from our brain, although and it sends signals throughout our bodies. The command center is sending signals through our body, but the prana is what's powering that. It's like the power behind it.
Okay.
So because see, sometimes like even when you are in a coma, you know, that life force is actually still keeping you alive, even though you don't have a lot of brain activity. So it's powering it. So once you are back, you know, and you're in a conscious state, then now they're working in tandem. So the power, so the prana is now keeping you alive, and it's actually helping your body to function.
And we had to do that because we've got to, for those of us who are not very familiar with energy work, we've got to be able to get behind the curtain and understand what you're talking about so that we can receive it better.
Well, that's just the thing. It's removing, being able to, I said, being able to see with the eyes behind the eyes. You know, being able to see with the spiritual eyes and not just using these are lenses. You know, the eyes don't see. It's the brain that sees through the eyes. But when you're talking on the spiritual level, you're looking at the eyes behind the eyes, and now you're looking beyond the veil and seeing that there is more to this life than just the physical. What we see, there's this whole energy system. If you ever saw The Matrix, which I love that movie. You saw they were pure. You didn't see their physical form. You saw the energy behind it.
Right.
And I always refer my students to that movie because that helps connect them to what energy is. That's really what we are.
Yes.
You know, this is just people call it our meat suit.
Our meat suit. I love it. Yes. Okay. Got it. All right, you keep breaking it down. Now I said I had to get that baseline so that we can stay with you along the way, because it's critical in the context of really understanding energy work and opening the door for those of us who are healthy or not healthy, but trying to get back to the baseline of what's actually going on with me. I know something ain't right. I don't know what it is, and I don't really know what to do about it. And it sounds like energy work is in that realm of what we probably need to look at.
Absolutely. And food, by it having its own energy, even if you don't understand the energy of the food you consume, you don't understand how it will affect your energetic body. Yes, eating an apple is great, eating a banana is great, but each has its own energy source, and it provides energy for a specific purpose.
Got it.
So when we're eating an apple or a pear or kale or chlorella, taking in chlorella, understanding its function is really important. Not just throwing everything together into a blender, consuming it and saying, okay, you know, my body has been fed, but you may not be feeding what your body's needing. You know, you have to understand your body and the food, the energy of the food. I mean, food has different colors, different textures, different flavors, and different energy forms. And that energy has a direct effect on certain aspects of our body. And it could impact our ability to heal. Like some things, like for instance, you know, I never say that, especially when it's something that's made in nature, never to eat it or consume it. But you could eat something and it may not address another part of your life because it's just like the chemical pharmacy. You know, they create something that's specifically for you know, the heart or stress or this or that. Well, the food that's created in nature, it does the same thing.
Got it.
It's pharmacy. So you have to know the energy of the food. That's why you can go to these so-called third world countries and they can prescribe you something and know exactly the energy of the plant, the root, the leaf, you know, how to make those compounds so that it heals the body. They're not just grabbing anything, throwing it in a blender or putting it in the mortar and pestle and just handing it to you. They understand the energy of this life-giving plant or shrub or berry to heal a specific part of the body because of its energy.
Got it. That's good. I was just having a conversation yesterday about one of my basic approaches has been, let's just get living food in you. We'll figure out the rest later. And listening to you, whereas that is a good baseline, given the American Western diet, it's not enough. It's a great place to get started and create a routine, but you're also going to need these other things, more specific as well. And it's just good stuff I'm getting from you as I'm listening, teacher.
Well, I say that it's always great to have a starting point. So you don't, because when you're starting, you don't know all these things. You don't know that food has energy. You don't know the function of an apple or orange or whatever. You're just thinking of it as something you consume that's going to help me live a better life, and that's fine. There's always a starting point. I had a starting point. I had to evolve and grow. But I think the more we're connected to ourselves, the more we're connected to our environment, the more we're connected to the earth. Yeah. I think that just opens up a channel within us so that we can receive understanding about the world we live in and how to operate in it, every aspect of it, so.
How did you get into food, and what created this awareness or desire to learn more to the degree that now it's just who you are?
Honestly, I think people come into the world already wired to do that work.
Okay.
But then there has to be a catalyst or something that triggers it, so that you are connected to it.
Yes.
Because I wasn't connected to it when I was a child, but I did always have curiosity about things, how things worked.
Okay.
And so when I experienced my own health crisis, because I was a sugar addict from the time I was 9 years old.
Okay.
That was a compensation for some emotional needs that weren't met. It disrupted my body, and I didn't know it. I didn't know it was that. I thought having a cold, I'm sorry, say again.
What were some of those things when you talk about it disrupted in a practical sense? And I'm only calling out for it because some people might be experiencing it, and we know they're not you, but they may discover some things or the impact of sugar in their body. So what are some of the things that helped you realize, oh man, this is sugar related?
Well, when I was a kid, I had every childhood disease known. I had the measles, I had the mumps, I had the chicken pox, I had my adenoids removed, I had my tonsils removed. I always had the flu. I always had colds. I had bronchitis.
Wow.
I thought it was normal. I just I
thought chicken pox and measles were normal too, but it never dawned on me it's not.
It's not normal. And I just went through those phases all throughout my youth up until my 20s. And then I started noticing my digestive system wasn't operating. I thought like having a bowel movement once or twice a week was normal.
Oh,
I thought
that
it was
your concern.
That's crazy, And so as I started, I remember just taking like laxatives and things like that to try to placate the situation.
Yeah.
Then as I got older, I think intuitively, I just knew that something was off. Something was not right.
Yeah.
And it was when I went through my divorce, that put a lot of stress on my body, and my body started going nuts. And that's when the anxiety and depression really kicked in. And so now you got depression, now you got anxiety, now you got constipation and stomach and bowel and GI issues, all that coming together. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And I remember my mom, and my grandmother always used herbs.
Okay.
Always grew herbs. And I always went back to that. And so I think intuitively, I knew that there was a connection. There had to be a connection between my body and food. And I remember the first book I bought, it was by Jennifer Kornbleet, and it was called Raw Food for Everyone. Raw Food for Everyone or something like that.
Okay.
And it was all about raw food. And so I said, I'm going to make every recipe from front to back. And I remember
that's really cool.
Within 2 weeks, Marquise, my bowels started regulating normally. My skin started to 2 weeks
I'm
started to glow.
I'm a
My
firm
that
believer.
brain fog was starting to lift. The concentration, the feelings of depression and anxiety. Now there are other things I had to do, like exercise regularly and commit to that, but
Sure.
food was the catalyst, and that was the genesis of the work that I do. I was like, I got it. Okay,
Yeah.
so this really works.
There's something to it.
Something to it. All this produce I've been passing all these years. I mean, I've always liked food.
Yeah.
I've always liked vegetables and fruit. I
Sure.
didn't
Yeah.
understand their function.
Yeah.
I didn't understand their
Understood.
function.
And so in
So
a
that
2 week window, I mean, obviously didn't fix everything, but
no.
your bowels started moving, your mental clarity started kicking in. What else was there? I just want to make sure people that are listening.
Hmm.
I love raw food, and I know what it can do in the body, but I know a lot of times there's a lot of resistance.
Yeah, there's
But,
resistance there.
yeah, but
And
when we
I'm
start talking,
not 100% raw, but I do believe that the raw food lifestyle is the best healing and sustaining modality for
got
life.
it.
I do believe that. There are times when I want, some warmer foods and things,
Oh yeah,
so I do study Ayurvedic medicine as well. So they call the doshas. Sometimes my doshas are off and I need something else.
sure,
But
yeah,
I know because I've done it. Well, I used that book, the first book I bought by Jennifer Cornblate, and I experimented with it. And when I saw the results, I was a believer.
mhm,
I was a believer because it was working. I was like, okay, I didn't know the body was supposed to respond to food like this.
yeah,
I didn't know I could feel this good. I didn't know I could sleep this well. I didn't know my brain could be so clear and my hair, just all full. I mean, I've always had a lot of hair, but I just noticed it was just it had its own shine and it was just healthier and my skin was healthier and it took a long time. It took a
listen,
long time
the
for me to
phrase.
balance that.
Well, but the phrase you said, I didn't know my body could feel this good.
No, I didn't.
That's huge.
I
I didn't know
didn't.
my hair could shine like this.
Yeah.
Those are to me, those are some of those really tangible things
Hmm.
that people want, but don't understand the correlation in the shift of energy of food that can give them what they're out trying to. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it out there trying to buy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not as a slam. I'm just saying it's available if they make some of these fundamental shifts. That's more of what I'm saying.
Right. Right. And so we're not as in tune with our bodies as our ancestors were.
Mm,
But then we're not in tune with the earth like we used to. I mean, with
yeah.
I would say like within the African American culture,
Mhm.
the great migration to the north, while we wanted to leave a lot of things that were happening in the South, the just atrocious acts, the violent
Yeah.
acts committed toward Black Americans,
Yeah.
we left the South, but we also left behind what we knew about farming, about the earth. We left the dirt and the worms in the South, and
Yeah.
then we came north and because of now this industrialized society that we have,
Right.
everything is mechanical, everything is
Right.
available, everything
Right.
is immediate. We don't understand the process of seed time and harvest. And we don't understand the process of how the earth provides everything we need. And that at one time we couldn't just go to the store and pick things. And even if you ate meat, you weren't going through meat like that because you only had 5 hens. So you at best
Right.
you may have eaten a chicken once every 2 weeks. That was a special occasion,
Right.
because they weren't breeding their offsprings every month. They weren't growing into full
Right.
adult chickens every month. It took time. There was a process to it. And so we left what we knew about the earth, and then we came to the north and just kind of adapted to the more industrialized society that we've come to know.
What's interesting though is with what you're speaking on, particularly why this is Black History Month, we have taken, can't say everyone, but for the industrial lifestyle, somehow we've been duped into thinking it's better. So all the things you're saying we left behind, a hen every other week, the soil, understanding worms, and our connection with the earth, we, in a way, because of civilization, have look at that as if it's lower, not understanding that it is source, that it is the baseline for who we are. And I don't mean as a people, I mean for as a human.
As a human.
That connects us and gives us the vitality that we so desperately need and have been lacking because we've been pursuing this other lifestyle, which is really nothing more than modernized slavery in a form that disconnects you from yourself and the earth to make a paycheck.
Right. So we tend to look at people in, and I'll put air quotes, third world countries.
Right.
They're not civilized, they're not, forward thinking, they're not cultivated. And and we are the unhealthiest. But you go to those countries,
Number one,
they're connected. They are the healthiest people. Yes. Because they understand, they can walk, they're connected to the earth. They're walking around with no shoes. They're always grounding themselves to the earth. Yes. They're always sitting down on the earth when they're eating their meals.
Yes.
That's symbolic. I mean, and it's not just symbolic, their connection to the earth. They are connected to the earth. They know where to find fruit. They know if they're not going to starve. They know where to dig up roots and what trees and what shrubs or what things are poisonous, what plants are nutritious, which ones are for this or for that. They know it's like they have a divine connection to the earth and the things around them, and they know how to utilize everything so that nothing is wasted.
Yeah.
And here we are in the greatest country on the planet.
I call that one.
On the greatest country on the planet. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
And we're so far behind we've lost the knowledge of our ancestors.
Yeah.
And the way of life that created healthy bodies and healthy beings.
And healthy living.
Living.
I remember hearing some people say about beliefs, it's poor, but you'll never meet a happier person. Because the sense of need of things is so far removed as being of value. But the sense of connection to self and others and life force within is what's esteemed. Like it blows my mind that we're not in the top 15 in the happiness index in the world, but we're the greatest production manufacturing, I guess, country is what we are. I'm more interested in that whole, like now I'm above 40, approaching 50. I'm more interested in pure happiness, pure connection. So my last days, which should be another 50 to 70, which is what I'm hoping for, are filled with things of true value, true sustenance. Because everything else that I've seen doesn't look like it. The running, the gotta do this, or always worried about that, or it really feeds the anxiety and the depression because there's a standard that I'm constantly looking for as a society. I don't know, just my thoughts.
There's someone somewhere that's willing to trade their designer handbag and shoes to have optimal health or to be happier.
You said the truth there.
To have a fulfilled life. So, I have to ask people, well, what brings you happiness, fulfillment, and just bliss and joy? Is it the things that we have? What brings us happiness?
Yeah.
For me, it's just being with my children.
Yeah.
It's having a healthy body.
Yeah.
It's just walking outside and being connected to nature, or just feeling the sun on my face. I was
Yeah.
like, do we ever even just look up at the sky when we're outside? Do we even notice what's above us?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we've lost so much.
Yeah. I know for me, sometimes in the sun, I don't wear sunglasses because I want to feel the sun. And I
Hmm.
know that when we talk about our value system in the Western world being more about the things, the feeling of the sun, as you spoke about earlier, getting that vitamin D transforms like how I'm experiencing whatever things I'm doing as a
Right.
baseline. What do you, given that we have been conditioned, borderline excuse, given we've been conditioned the way we have, what tips, tricks, tools do you think we can use to really begin to tap into the things that really give life back to us?
So, right, that's going back to your original question, some of the things that we can do. So, because I do want to address the things we can do as far as like when you're experiencing anxiety or depression or fearfulness. So, the one thing is breath work. That is so important.
Mhm,
We don't know how to breathe properly.
mhm,
I
mhm.
didn't. I
I
always was
didn't
a
either.
chest breather. I always had tension in my back, my mid back, and my shoulders. That's where I carried a lot of stress and tension.
Okay.
And I didn't realize just understanding the process of breathing,
Yeah.
intentional breathing,
Yeah.
if not for 5 minutes a day, a couple minutes. But I'm
Right.
telling you, I do it like 3 times, still do about 3 times a day. And I have it on my phone to send me an alert. Okay, stop what you're doing and go breathe.
That's
I
cool.
mean, just understanding how to breathe. There's a method called box breathing.
Box.
It's called box breathing, where you inhale for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, you exhale for 4 counts, you hold for 4 counts, and you repeat that about 7 or 8 times. So it's
Okay.
like inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And you're constantly going around. So that's why it's called the box breathing.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
And there's another method where you inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. I would
Mhm.
even say for 10, because as you're exhaling, the exhale should be actually be longer than the
Okay.
inhale, because that's allowing the nervous system to align. It's
Mhm.
really balancing that central nervous system. It's calming that flight or fight response that's
Yeah.
always on.
Yeah.
And I always noticed when I was anxious, because my heart would be racing. I could just
Mhm.
feel my pulse, and it's just going boom, 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 boom.
Mhm.
And when I breathe, that calms it down like within a few
Does.
minutes. Within a few
Does.
minutes. And the other thing I would say is walk outside as much as possible. Now, I know we have winters here in Chicago, but especially when the sun is shining, walk. I bought a pair of, they almost look like ski pants because they're insulated.
Mhm.
And I wasn't going to make any excuse not to
Yeah.
walk outside, because I
Good.
feel
Good.
better when I'm outside, and
Yes.
especially when the
Yes.
sun is shining. You need to be outside. And if you do take if people take a vitamin D supplement, which can help, but also if you're taking it, go outside and be in the sun between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when the sun is most potent. That'll help activate the supplement that they've taken. But that's actually the magic window anyway, whether they're taking supplements or not.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. You got to keep talking. But did you just say you need sun to activate the vitamin you took?
Exactly. Exactly. So whether you're taking it or not, it's the sun that's giving
Yeah.
you the
I did
vitamin
not
D.
know that.
I
Anyway,
mean,
keep
that's
going.
just what a supplement is. It's the supplementation to the the original, or the
The real
actual thing
thing.
that you're supposed to be getting in your body that's already been supplied. So which is
Ain't
interesting.
nothing like the real thing,
And
baby.
nothing like it. Exactly. So the hour between 10 and 2. And then I would say that there are some exercises that yoga, I highly, highly recommend yoga.
Okay.
And that's the one thing I teach in my energy classes is I try to connect people to what yoga is as opposed to what it is not, because there's this sometimes it's demonization, especially if you grew up in a specific faith, you know, and even in the Christian faith, I would say there are a lot of people who push back on it because they think that if they are practicing yoga, then they are practicing another religion.
Yeah, not understanding that
No.
Christ practiced yoga, breath work, all these things as a way of living.
As a way of living.
Almost, this may be, no, I won't even say it because it's I'd have to research a little bit more, but I was thinking about almost like a Buddhist lifestyle, which is not a religion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. And so once people understand that the yoga poses is the breath along with the movement helps calm the mind, that there's an interconnectedness between the three, then not only that, but the benefits are a leaner body, you know, they're more flexible and they're able to extend their lifespan actually through it,
Yes,
because
blood
they're
circulates.
absolutely, they're allowing the breath to circulate, they're allowing their minds to be connected to the movement, you know. And there is the one thing I love about yoga is that there's no you're not in the gym competing, you know, who can lift the heaviest weights or whatever. It's about you and your mat and being centered with who you are.
Yes.
And just bringing all of you there with an intention that I want to be one with the mind, body, and breath.
That's good.
There's another exercise that they can do, and this is really simple. This is something that I did, and it will put me right to sleep. You take a towel, bath towel, and you roll it up real tight, long way, and you place it against your spine. You lay on top of it from your tailbone. It should extend from your tailbone all the way to the back of your neck.
Okay.
Well, almost to the top of your spine.
Okay.
And you lay on it, and you open your arms and your legs. You spread them out, and then you just breathe. You do your breathing exercises. And what that does, that also helps balance the central nervous system, and it immediately relaxes the body. Yeah, if you do that for about 5 minutes, you may be asleep on the floor.
So it's the warm. So I was going to ask, what's different between the foam roller and the warm towel? But number one, the towel is softer. And
the towel is softer, yes. Now the roller is good when you want to get out like kinks or, you know, whatever out of your body. But, you know, it's great for the muscles. You know, it's great on those days when you just want to do stretching, you know, when you're not doing heavy physical activity or lifting, whatever. But the one, if you want to be relaxed more, then I would recommend the towel. The towel or a blanket or something, but something that they can lay on comfortably. Because what it does, it as you lay on it, it opens up the back, it opens up the chest, and then it just relaxes the central nervous system. So it's wonderful. I use it all the time.
So throw it in the dryer for a couple minutes type of thing?
Yes, you can do that too. Yes, excellent. Yes. Excellent. Yes.
I love it.
And then, of course, the foods we eat.
Yes.
The foods we eat, you know, being conscious of the processed sugar, white flour.
Yeah.
White rice, and people think I'm not demonizing rice. There's rice. I like the forbidden rice, the black rice, the wild rice.
Yeah.
But what's happening is we take something that's so pure.
Yeah.
And then we remove all the benefits and the properties within that thing that can help sustain life. And then all you have is like, you have something that has no nutritional value whatsoever. You know, so why even use it? Why we use white flour and water to make paste or macrame or those little projects we did in kindergarten. It's like glue.
So teacher, why do we remove the nutrients and things that would be good for us? Why would we go through that process?
So
the short version, because we got like 6 minutes, but
I know
you said it, and it begs the question. I had to have thoughts around it, but like you're teaching,
it's cheaper. It's cheaper. It's a cheaper product. It's a cheaper product. There's such a demand for it. There's such a demand for it because that's what we've been accustomed to having, accustomed to think that this is the normal way of life. This is the way bread is produced. Or this is the way,
Yeah.
sugar is produced or whatever. And we're not even realizing that it's so far removed
Yeah.
from its original form that it actually serves us. It doesn't serve us at all.
That's so funny because bread wasn't made every day. It
No,
had
it
to
wasn't.
rise, except I never even thought about that to you. I've always thought about the meat, but you're right. Like it wasn't like you had bread every day, let
Didn't
alone
have
every
bread
meal.
every day. You didn't have right. You had there are certain things that they put in it, certain natural things to help leaven it, but that took time. It
It
was
took
the things
time.
that we get every day. People considered at one time a treat. That
That's
was
right.
special, and because it took so much time, you valued the process and valued eating it. You just
Yeah.
savored it, every
Yeah.
bite, every
Yeah.
morsel, because this took a few days to make.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So in our last 3 minutes, what would you like to share? You certainly got to. We're certainly going to post the links to your energy work and courses, but whatever you want to share that you want them to know, sign up for a course coming up, whatever it is, the floor is yours.
I guess what I want people to walk away with and what I want them to know is, how do you feel inside your body? Do you even know how you feel inside your body? How connected are you with your body? And I would say start spending time alone. That's hard to do for a lot of us. It's just
Yeah.
being alone with ourselves
Yeah.
and really listen to what's going on in our bodies.
Yeah.
What is the messaging that's being shared? What is our body trying to tell us? Because once we connect with that intuitive part of us,
Yeah.
that gives us direction on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
put the cell phones away,
Yeah.
for maybe 15, 30 minutes, even an hour a day,
Yeah.
and just be alone with self and allow you that inner teacher to come forward to tell you what you need to guide and direct you, because all of this is the information you're getting, and the information I'm giving you is still outside of yourself, but you have an inner teacher that knows. It already
Good.
knows,
It's good.
and it'll guide you into all truth.
It's good. It's good. Excellent. What URL should they be going to? Hashtag would you like to share? Just so
So
they can hear you say it yourself, and then I'll wrap it up.
sure. So you can go to my website. Everything's there. All my links are there. It's at www.shop-isw.com. So it's shop-isw.com.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. It's been a
So glad to
pleasure.
have you on the show. Hang out in the green room for a sec. I'll be right with you.
Sure thing.
All right. So you've heard all sorts of tips on sleeping, resting, helping the body heal, growing your hair, allowing your stools to come naturally, because one stool every 2-3 days is not normal. One stool every other day is not normal. You learned about energy and the necessity, how breath work can help you with that. Maybe it's time you take a deeper dive and find out what's happening with your energy. It doesn't mean you're broken, it just means you're not tuned in. And I love, love, love that Regina closed off by saying, there's an inner teacher inside of you. And I see your faces in my mind right now. Don't nobody need to tell me nothing. I already know what I'm supposed to do. But when you're toxic in your energy, when you're toxic in your diet, when you're not breathing like you need to, you don't know what you need to do because you're out of sync and you're so far removed from it. Take everything she shared, begin to implement it so that you can listen and hear more clearly when you're quiet and you're alone. It's there. You're there. The prana's waiting. This is Marquise Martin Hayes. It has been Thriving Thursday once again, and we are grateful to our proud sponsors, Willis Consulting. Check them out. Willis Consulting, www.williscc.com. Whether you live in Chicago or Naperville, you can go in live, or they can serve you online. Smart Key, Smart and Hayes. We'll see you next week.